Unless you've been living under a rock, you know that the beautiful game of football never fails to surprise us. While we're getting used to seeing our favorite stars shining bright, sometimes even they can have an off-season that leaves fans scratching their heads. Get ready to cringe as we take a look at some of the biggest underperformers of the year. The players who just couldn't seem to find their groove no matter how hard they tried. First up, we have the Egyptian king himself, Mohamed Salah. This Liverpool talisman has been a force to be reckoned with ever since he arrived at Anfield, banging in goals for fun and terrifying defenders with his excellent game intelligence. But this season, something seems off. The numbers don't lie. Last season, Salah scored an impressive 31 goals and dished out 16 assists across all competitions. This year, an underwhelming 22 goals and 8 assists. According to his own high standards, that's a big step down, and that has ultimately affected Liverpool too, as they've gone from challenging on 4 fronts to just a Carabao Cup. It's like someone switched his Red Bull for a nice cup of chamomile tea. The former Premier League Golden Boot winner has looked like a shadow of his usual supercharged self. Some say the arrivals of new big money attacking talents like Darwin Núñez and Cody Gakpo have disrupted Liverpool's well-oiled offensive machine, leaving Salah unsure of his role. After years of being the undisputed king, perhaps sharing the spotlight is taking its toll. Others wonder if Salah's lucrative new contract extension, which made him one of the Premier League's top earners, has bred a hint of complacency. With that financial security locked in, does the Egyptian have the same hunger as before? A more charitable view is that the physical and mental toll of last winter's World Cup in Qatar is still lingering for Salah. Having played a pivotal role in Egypt's qualifying and ultimately the campaign itself, maybe fatigue has caught up with the 31-year-old's typically lightning reflexes. Fans have also wondered whether Klopp's tactics recently are also to be blamed for Mo's bad form. The recent bust-up with the German on the touchline suggests there is more to it. Mo should be as close to the goal as possible, but he has been hugging the line a bit too much lately. We sure would want to know the reason for the bust-up with the gaffer, because something's definitely not right. Whatever the reason for Salah's underwhelming numbers, his dip in form has become hard to ignore in recent months. The once inevitable goal-scoring force now frequently fluffs his lines in front of goal or takes 1-2 dribble too many when the simple pass is on. Next, we have Rafael Leao, the young Portuguese winger who took Serie A by storm last season with his silky skills and eye for goal. AC Milan fans were over the moon with their new star, and it seemed like the world was his oyster. But hold your horses, folks, because this season has been a different story altogether. Last year, Leao banged in 14 goals and provided 12 assists, playing a pivotal role in Milan's Scudetto triumph. This season, a paltry 7 goals and 10 assists. It has been all too anticlimactic. So what exactly has gone wrong? Why does the once electrifying, unstoppable Leao now look so stoppable? Theories abound, as always, when a young talent endures such a stark dip in form. Some pundits suggest the problem lies in opposition defenses finally figuring out how to nullify Leao's trickery and pace. Perhaps they've realized the straightforward approach of deploying 2 or even 3 defenders to double and triple up on him works a treat in cutting off his dangerous dribbling forays. Others argue the issue is more mental, that the weight of expectation as Milan's talisman and key man has simply become too much for Leao's young shoulders to bear this season. Fair enough, going from thrilling upstart to bona fide superstar scrutinized week in, week out is a hefty burden. Then there's the Cristiano curse theory, which means that Leao has spent a little too much time this year practicing his admittedly magnificent celebration rather than his actual scoring technique. Ooh, controversial? Well, so is his form. Whatever the reason, one thing is for certain. Rafael Leao looks a shadow of the player who took Serie A by storm last year. The explosive stride has been replaced by a more languid gait. The fearless dribbling has made way for ponderous overplaying. The good news? Leao is just still 23 years old, with undoubted reserves of talent still to be tapped into. With the right mentoring and mindset reset, there's no reason he can't rediscover the scintillating form that made him one of Europe's hottest properties just 12 months ago. For now, the curious case of the chamomile-sipping Leao continues. leaving Milan fans spinning for the return of that red-hot winger from last season. Perhaps an extra shot of espresso before games is all he needs. Remember how everyone was raving about Khvicha Kvaratskhelia at the start of the season? The Georgian winger took Serie A by storm, dazzling defenses with his mazy dribbles and eye for goal. Napoli fans were already dubbing him the new Maradona, and pundits were drooling over his potential. But as the season wore on, Kvaratskhelia's star began to fade. The goals dried up, the assists became scarce, and suddenly he didn't look quite so unstoppable. In fact, his numbers this season, 12 goals and 10 assists, pale in comparison to his blistering start. What could be the reason behind Kvaratskelia's sudden loss of form? People need to realize that these are still young players who are yet to reach their peak, and they are bound to have an inconsistent season now and then. While controversially, others suggest he's been weighed down by the pressure of being Napoli's main man, and that Maradona comparison might have been the trigger that broke the camel's back. Marcus Rashford, the prodigal son of Manchester United, the comeback kid who seemed to have finally found his mojo under Erik ten Hag. After a disastrous 2021-2022 season, Rashford came roaring back, banging in goals left, right, and center, looking every inch the world-class talent we all knew he could be. But then, just when we thought Rashford was back to his best, he hit a wall. A big, brick wall that left him dazed, confused, and struggling to find the back of the net. From scoring 30 goals across all competitions last season, Rashford has managed a measly 16 this time around. So what's the deal with Rashford's sudden loss of form? Well, some say the pressure of being United's main man has burdened him, while others suggest he's been weighed down by off-field issues. Or maybe, just maybe, he has never been world-class for a consistent period of time. Rashford has always been the IT factor, but he never finds consistency to take it into next season. When Manchester City splashed out a whopping £77.5 million to sign Josko Gvardiol from RB Leipzig, eyebrows were raised all around the football world. Sure, the Croatian defender was highly rated, but that kind of money for a 21-year-old? Well, as it turns out, those doubters might have had a point, because so far Gvardiol's performances in a City shirt have been, well, a bit underwhelming. Whether it's lapses in concentration, poor positioning, or simply struggling to adapt to Pep Guardiola's demanding system, the young Croatian hasn't quite lived up to his hefty price tag. Of course, it's still early days for Gvardiol, and he's got plenty of time to turn things around. But for now, City fans can't help but feel a little shortchanged by their big-money defensive signing. Gvardiol is bound to come good, but he had a rock-solid World Cup bar that one messy moment. But come on, greater defenders have looked amateur in front of that demigod. Unlike the last couple of seasons, Gvardiol has looked a shadow of himself without a doubt. Literally nicknamed the Monster, Min-jae had the world at his feet a year back. A Scudetto in the bag, considered as one of the best center-backs in the world, and joining one of the greatest footballing institutions in Bayern Munich, all within a couple of years. Listen, one mediocre season doesn't make him bad, we know that. But when you become a part of a team who had won the Bundesliga for 10 plus years straight and then not win one suddenly, then you will be questioned. Kim has a very ordinary start to his Bayern career. He has been caught out many times in the Bundesliga, and if it wasn't evident, then he got exposed in the Champions League big time. His over-enthusiastic and eager style to win the ball has cost Bayern a lot of goals. And yes, we are pointing out the main reason for his mediocre start. Now, the Italian league is generally slow, so it suited Kim's style better, as there wouldn't be immediate danger straight away. But at Bayern and in Bundesliga and Champions League, the monster is getting found out. His enthusiasm is his great trait, but he needs to curb that a bit to succeed. Whatever the reason for Kim's struggles this season, apart from the obvious one we stated, one thing is for sure. Bayern's monster acquisition is in desperate need of being recaged and retrained, if he's to live up to that ferocious billing. Otherwise, back to Serie A for the Korean. It's not every day you get a bidding war from two of the greatest Premier League sides, let alone when the bid crosses 100 million. Liverpool won the race as Brighton accepted Liverpool's offer, despite Chelsea chasing the Ecuadorian for a longer period of time. But like an M. Night Shyamalan movie, there was a wicked twist. Caicedo rejected Liverpool. Chelsea matched Liverpool's bid, and Caicedo ended up in London. Well, for Chelsea fans, it was good, as it got with a record signing. Caicedo has been a total bust this season. At Brighton, Caicedo was unbreachable. At Chelsea, he gets run around in a circle. Of course, the 100 signings Chelsea made since Todd Boehly took charge of the club doesn't help, but it only serves as an excuse for a once-generational talent. Caicedo has been frequently run past in games. He is unable to build an attack nor form an understanding with a fellow record-signing teammate, Enzo Fernandez. Both seem burdened with their hefty price tags. But that is something they have to live through and ultimately succeed. Currently though, Caicedo just looks like a Sunday League player who has won a lottery to represent a big club. At least, the Liverpool fans will take some solace out of Moises Caicedo's misery.